Hello friends, family, and internet strangers, Stephanie here, and today's video is a what's for breakfast instead of what's for dinner. This is part of a breakfast collab hosted by Tiffany over at Small Town 6. I will have her channel as well as the entire playlist so you can get all kinds of breakfast inspiration linked in the description box down below. Let's get right into it. First up is a Crustless Quiche Lorraine. So I essentially took my mother's Quiche Lorraine recipe and did it without a crust. That is pretty much the only change I made, other than it calls for green onions and I used regular onions. So I am starting out by cooking my bacon. I am just frying this up in a pan in a very typical bacon cooking way. You could cook bacon in any manner to use in this because you essentially just need crumbled up cooked bacon. So I have done this before in the air fryer, which is really easy, except the cleanup is not as easy as one would think because it does splatter all over the air fryer. This did not make too much mess at all, and this Crofton pan from Aldi, really simple to clean. So I've got my cooked bacon. I am letting that dry on some paper towels there, and then chopping up an onion. I have not shown this in a very long time. If you are a subscriber that has been around for a while, I used to start pretty much every video chopping up an onion, but I have skipped that lately. I really haven't been showing the onion chopping. So if you're a longtime subscriber that remembers the onion chopping days, leave me a comment down below, and thank you for sticking with me all this time. If you're new, my name is Stephanie and I do what's for dinner videos. I do occasionally these monthly collabs. I also do road trip content because I love a good road trip, and I do have some new road trip videos coming out soon, but I hope y'all will stick around if you are new and consider hitting that subscribe button. But I diced this onion up really fine because it's supposed to be chopped green onion, but I didn't have green onion. I wanted to just use what I had on hand for this and not do too much extra shopping, keeping it budget friendly these days. So I stuck with a regular onion. The one thing to know about though is that will make it a wetter quiche. It was a little bit liquidy, but it wasn't in the quiche. It was at the bottom. So if you are doing this with a crust, I would not recommend using these regular onions. But if you're doing it crustless like this, I just picked it right up out of the liquid in the bottom of the pan, and honestly, it tasted perfect with that added complication. All I did was kind of drain it out of the pan. So green onion or regular onion, totally up to you, but I do recommend chopping it up really finely so that it does go nicely in the egg there. I am not a huge egg fan. I never have liked eggs unless they are in a quiche, and when I was making this using my mom's recipe, which normally I just make miniature crustless quiches, and I use a different recipe, I realized the reason I like this so much is probably because there's barely any egg in it, and it's mainly that cream. Now the recipe does call for half and half, but I did not have half and half, again using what I had on hand. So I made my own half and half by using half milk and half heavy whipping cream, because lately I do pretty much always have heavy whipping cream in my refrigerator. It has become one of my favorite ingredients to use. So here I have greased my pan. Now you could spray your pan, or what I did was use a paper towel with my bacon grease on it and rubbed that around the bottom of the pan. That's how I greased this particular pan. So you're just gonna layer your bacon, onion, whichever kind of onion you decide to use, and your cheese. This is Swiss cheese in this one. And you layer those on the bottom and then pour the egg cream mixture, which also has nutmeg, salt, and pepper in it, and a little dash of cayenne. And then you're just gonna pour that over the top of this and bake it. The baking time will vary. So the recipe I have, that I will have in the description box typed out below, this does say between 35 and 50 minutes. which is a pretty long window, but it really does vary. So mine took about 45 minutes. So I would say just keep checking it starting around 35 minutes. But this was light and fluffy, and I served it with fruit, and I actually ate it for dinner because I'm not a big breakfast person. Fruit is one of the main things that I will have for breakfast, so I highly recommend just breakfast if you're not, or just fruit if you're not a big breakfast person. Next up, I'm going to make some banana Nutella muffins. I used to have a recipe that I would do this with regularly, but I am running out of flour. I did, however, have almond flour on hand that I had bought on sale a little bit ago that I wanted to use up. So I decided to find an almond flour banana muffin recipe and then just add Nutella to it like I would with my normal recipe. So I will have both of those down below. I will have a link with the banana recipe that I am making right here. And then all I did to that recipe was add Nutella. But I will also type out my banana Nutella muffin recipe down below if you're using regular flour. It is a really good recipe. My college roommate used to ask me to make it pretty regularly, and I would make it for her birthday and stuff. So it was a favorite around my college dorm and apartment and house when I was living in North Carolina. So for this one, it said to blend the wet ingredients in a blender. So I used my NutriBullet. It was eggs, cinnamon, vanilla, baking soda, baking powder, and ripened bananas. I used 3 of them per the recipe. And then it did say to blend it with the almond flour afterwards, but my NutriBullet isn't that big, so I mixed it in. So you can see it's a very frothy batter. I had concerns about this. As I was making this, I did not think it would be that good. But the end result, the flavor was there. The flavor was good. My only thing with this is because I'm not used to using a ton of almond flour with baking, the texture was just different than what I'm used to. Again, it wasn't bad. It's just taking some getting used to. So, again, I would recommend if you're using regular flour, follow my regular recipe. But if you do need to use almond flour, this is good. And also, it's balance, all about balance. Less carbs when you use the almond flour balances out the fact that you're adding super unhealthy Nutella in there, but it's tasty. So I have greased my cupcake tin here. I have a very large cupcake tin. This recipe said that it would do 12 muffins. I knew though that since these were a little bit smaller and I was going to be adding the Nutella to them, that I could do more than that. So I did 16 muffins. And also, since I was using less batter, my cooking time was lower. The recipe says it takes closer to 30 minutes, but for me it was between 20 and 25 because they were very small. So again, just keep an eye on it, and when a toothpick or a knife comes out clean, that's when it's pretty much done here. So once I've got all of my muffins even, this is where I'm going to start adding my Nutella in. So I get the muffin batter in there and then just little dollops of Nutella on the top of each and every one of these. And these are good to make ahead of time because they'll store for several days in either an airtight container, or I just stored mine in a plastic bag this time around. I am not a huge breakfast person, which I mentioned a little bit ago. I like quick breakfasts that I have prepared in advance and can just take on the go. And if I'm actually cooking breakfast items, I eat them for dinner, like my quiche. I ate my quiche and fruit for dinner, and then I had leftovers that I can eat for lunch or take on the go to work with me. I have them in Tupperware containers so that I can take that to work and heat it up when I get there. But for most breakfast items, since I don't like eggs, I don't like a lot of breakfast. I also don't really get hungry until I've been awake for at least an hour. So Breakfast for me tends to be fast or non-existent, or I eat no breakfast and then I get hungry at work and I buy a snack that's always very, very sugary. So I've been trying to get better about making my own breakfasts and bringing them to work with me so I'm prepared. The other thing is I run out of time to eat breakfast. I like to sleep. Anyone else prefer sleep over breakfast, or is that just a me thing? Anyways, once these are all dolloped, I'm going to put them in the oven at 350. And again, just keep an eye on it because all of those oven temperatures do vary. I've noticed some things cook really fast in my current oven and some things not so much. This next one is one of those easy on the go healthy breakfast recipes: rice cakes, peanut butter, cinnamon, and bananas. That's all this is, but I figured I'd show it in case you're looking for some easy inspiration. And this next one, this final part of this video, I wanted to do a restaurant recommendation. If you have never been to a Hash House A Go-Go, it is a chain. They're not located all over the country, but there are several of them around. We went for our trip to Vegas. My mom and I were in Vegas for my birthday, and this place was really good, so I do recommend it. I had banana brown sugar pancakes and my mom had French toast, so definitely look for it if you have one of those in your area or you're visiting an area that had one. I hope this video gave y'all some breakfast inspiration, and for more inspiration, don't forget to check out this collab playlist. Thanks again, Tiffany, for hosting, and thank you everyone for watching. If you enjoyed this video, I hope you give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already so you don't miss any content.